Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Friday, the 24th of July, comes to you from London. And we start by looking at the markets. We see just a lot more red on the screen today, so that's just telling us that the market is falling back a bit. So the dollar weakness continues. It's sitting at 94 on the dollar index, 94.63, and now just starting to go below that low that we saw in March. So we should either find support here or fall through support. Normally with currencies, you would expect this to be a little bit of a support point. So we've had a pretty big down week. The key question is, will we go lower next week? So that's going to be one to watch. This is a long-term chart, of course, turning bearish. We need to really see this hold for a few weeks before we would call it a bearish move in the dollar. But we can't ignore the fact that that dollar is looking weaker, and that means that the euro is looking stronger. We're already through on the cloud here, bullish on all three time frames. So we're seeing weaker dollar, stronger euro. Sterling sitting at 127.31. Again, just holding stronger against that dollar. And if we look at sterling against the euro, we're actually still below the 110 level, so that is still quite significant. Looking at the stock market, we saw the S&P 500 index was down quite sharply yesterday. So we're still bullish on all three time frames, but having hit that June 8th high and just gone through it, we're now finding a little bit of a resistance area around that level. And we just see here we are just breaking higher, but now coming back and testing support from the other side. Not a major worry, that fall yesterday, but we just do need to be aware that markets have run a long way and we could easily see a setback. The Nasdaq still looking pretty strong, but has actually just turned bearish on the short-term chart as well. And if we look at the Dow, it was down 1.3%. And the futures today suggest that the market will close lower. So we are seeing the S&P future down 0.2%. That's in bearish territory, and the Nasdaq E-mini down 1.2%. So we are likely to see quite a sell-off in tech. And the market volatility, the VIX volatility, is actually up 6%. So that does just show us that we're going back into bullish mode on the volatility, which is bearish for stocks, and we are still at levels twice what we saw for the market at the start of the year. The FTSE future down nearly 2% this morning. The DAX down 2% on the cash market. So we are seeing markets sinking lower. Excuse me, and so it's looking like a bearish end to the week, and we're seeing that bearish candle just holding through on the weekly. The CAC 40 is down 2% as well, and we saw most Asian markets lower. Japan was down 0.5%. The Hang Seng was down 2%. That's been in long-term decline really for the last 2 years. We've been bearish below the cloud, and if we look at the Shanghai Composite down nearly 4%. So having had that big spike up, we've had 2 weeks now where we're lower. The Sensex was down 0.75%, and the Aussie market was off 1%. It had a very strong start to the week, but now we're seeing that lower. The big story is gold. We're nudging the $1,900 level. 1,920 is the all-time high for gold, so we are getting closer. We've had an amazing run this week, and that's showing up in that weekly candle. So gold really breaking out. And silver has had a strong week. It's down this morning, but we are just again seeing that massive breakout candle on silver, so that's quite significant. And US 10-year yields just steadily sinking lower, so we're down 0.57% now, so we're really just at a place where we're just heading back to that 0.5% level. Looking at the energy mix for the end of the week, we've got Brent crude just slightly up, but we do have downside targets on the 1-minute chart. We are bearish on the 60-minute chart, so it does look like we're pulling back. We're still just rolling and holding around this 43 mark, so not much action there on Brent. And WTI much the same, of course. US nat gas sitting at 176. We did see a jump yesterday, so storage numbers were better than expected, and we did see a jump in price. but we are, and we did touch 180 at one stage, but we are in the doldrums here on that long-term chart. We still do have downside targets there. Coal just falling back a little bit below the $60 mark, but still looking very good on the recovery. Emissions have had a fairly sedate week, and we actually just see that we've fallen lower there. So we are still finding a floor on emissions, but no big surprises after we've run so far, and the long-term picture is still very bullish. Looking at MBP, we're down 1.5% this morning, so that's still struggling. Short term, we're in the bearish zone, and the same with TTF. We're back below that €5 mark, so that's quite key as well. Looking at German power, holding on to €40, but still below the cloud on the short-term chart as well. That's it for today. Until Monday, have a great weekend. Happy charting. See you then.